Hello and welcome to the Lights on a Screen podcast. I am your host, Jacob Blunden, and today, as always, I am joined by the wonderful Taylor. How are you?
I am good. I am very good. I am slightly recovering from last night. Last night was fun. It was a good time.
For once, I'm not the hungover one.
Yeah. And we are also joined by the person who wishes to murder me, Alayna.
Mm-hmm. I'm here, and everyone should be grateful, as I've been saying all week. This is going to be interesting.
This was your hell week, and the one you were not looking forward to. Although I think there is another one. No, actually, no. This is a hell week.
What's
this
the
is
other one you think?
Killers, but
it'll
be a good movie.
It'll at least be good. Yeah,
that's fair. All right. Well, this week's episode, we are of course talking about the latest in the family. Fast X opens this week. But before we get into that, Taylor, do you want to talk a little about the Gold Coast Film Festival and what we did there?
I do, but first, we've had some breaking news this morning that I think you should bring up.
Yes, we did actually. Obviously, it was announced that Rick Dalton, the beloved actor from the 60s and spaghetti westerns, has sadly passed away at the age of 90. So we give our condolences to the Dalton family. So Lights on the Screen would just like to say we give our condolences to the family. Alayna, do you want to talk a little about your favorite film of Rick Dalton?
Personally, I loved Joe Mama. That was my favorite of his. To Joe, to Mama.
Tell.
I love the one where there wasn't actually a script. It was just him and his beloved stuntman best friend just fucking shit up, basically. They had a flamethrower and there was a lot going on and it really wasn't coherent at all, but I think that was when he was at his best, to be honest. So,
well, Lights on the Screen would like to very much thank Rick Dalton for his contribution to Hollywood, and rest in peace. So, Taylor, do you want to talk? For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, just go on to Quentin Tarantino's Twitter.
Yeah.
You will understand
he
exactly
decided
what
to
we're
choose
talking
violence today, and now we're dealing with it.
That's every day.
So we got to go to a special event for the Gold Coast Film Festival, and it was like a gala industry awards night where Catherine Martin and Baz Luhrmann were being honored for their contribution to film, both internationally and here in Australia. And we were lucky enough to be, Jacob and I were at the red carpet, which literally was like us, one other person from a local radio station, and then like two actual news crews. I think it was like 9 and 7 or something like that, which was kind of wild that it was like two actual news crews and then us was the press line. And it was cool. It was really great. I was so nervous and I thought I was going to throw up literally the entire time. And I'm also pretty sure I blacked out the whole time I was talking to her.
I was going to say, how much of it do you actually remember?
I literally don't.
When I saw that on Twitter, I gasped. I was like, what? The hell?
There is video and photo evidence of us literally together, which is, I still don't. Yeah. Anyway, standing in front of the most awarded Academy Award did Australian that exists. She has the most Academy Awards of any Australian. Wow. And I got to stand in front of her and ask her some questions. And she was really, really sick that night. But she came and she was a really good sport and she talked to everyone. I felt so bad. She looked like she was exhausted. But it was really cool. I got to ask her a couple questions. Again, I blacked out, so I don't actually, you guys are about to listen to something I haven't listened to and don't really remember any of it. So I hope you enjoy. She talked about, I asked her specifically questions about working in Australia and working on the Gold Coast, just because it was the Gold Coast Film Festival and, it's infamous that Elvis was filmed on the Gold Coast as COVID broke out and we almost killed Tom Hanks and it was a whole thing. So I got her to talk a little bit about just that kind of being the starting point of people really talking about Elvis, and that being the entry point of the movie kind of into pop culture, and then the journey of having it be what it was, where it had so many Academy Award nominations and so much critical acclaim. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this interview that I'm literally going to never listen to, because I don't think I can do that to myself.
Yourself and Baz have seemed to really embrace. You're at the point you can make films anywhere in the world. Why do you keep coming back here?
Because we have such extraordinary creative relationships here. So it really is about the talent and the ability that we find time and time again in Australia, and also the support of the Australian government, both federal and state, certainly doesn't hurt. It gives it a very competitive edge and makes it an unbeatable place to shoot. If you have world-class facilities, an incredibly competitive offset, an incentive to come here, and great people with which to work, it's kind of a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
The Catherine Martin calling card is your ability to bring these really specific and celebrated moments in history to life. Is there any particular point in history that you haven't had the chance to explore yet that you'd love to?
There are so many. I find it really hard to pinpoint. I just love being part of the adventure, the team, the collaborators, the kind of Argonauts who go off on Baz's creative adventures with him. And listen, often I'll hear something and I'll go, really, we're going to have to do that? And then it will become my most favourite period to work in, or I'll enjoy the challenge of something I never imagined I would. So I've learnt not to kind of revel in the moment, because it's always so surprising what you actually end up enjoying or that ends up being a revelation.
Thank you so much. Congratulations again.
You're welcome.
Lovely. And this is Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
My question had to do with the fact that Elvis was very highly impacted by the pandemic starting.
Yeah.
And during that time, it felt like Queensland was kind of the beacon of hope for a lot of the film community, and Elvis coming out the other side of that, being this big, triumphant, well-received, award-recognized film, and then coming back and receiving an award like this on the Gold Coast. Just what does that mean to you?
Well, I think we were so lucky to make Elvis here in Queensland, and specifically on the Gold Coast, to be in that incredibly safe environment, allowed us to make a movie that I just don't think you could have made in the same way anywhere else in the world. I mean, we had our lead actor completely surrounded by hundreds and hundreds of people, touched, fawned upon, screamed at, and because there was no community spread, we of course had all of the oversight of the state health authorities. We did everything correctly in inverted commas, but what it meant, because there wasn't community spread, our level of exposure was so much less. And I think it just makes the success so much sweeter, because everybody sacrificed so much. People left their families in other states for months and months to make this movie happen. I'm just so thrilled that it was successful and that it allows them to put on their CV something that they can really be proud of.
That's really great. Just one last question for you. Working in Queensland and then working in other areas of Australia, was there anything particularly special you found about working here in Queensland while you guys were filming?
Well, I think one of the very peculiar things about filming Elvis here is that we were half an hour from home to get to the studio, and none of the locations that we went to film Graceland or Beale Street were more than half an hour away from the studio. So to have sort of all of that production packed into such a small area, I think allowed for a really productive and creative time, because you weren't wasting time travelling, and that is very wearing after a long day. which for some people can be 14 hours, to be adding travel and moving stuff onto that, I think that kind of efficiency really made for a great shoot.
Thank you so much for your time.
Very well. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, again, I have no idea what you just listened to, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some good, very, very specific Queensland Gold Coast content.
If you live outside of Queensland, you might not get it.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, but you're welcome. Basically, you're welcome is what I have to say about that.
So obviously the other big news from this week that I do want to talk about, though, is Killers of the Flower Moon trailer just dropped. God damn, I'm so excited for this damn movie. I'm so excited. It looks amazing. Have either of you actually watched the trailer?
I watched 30 seconds and I was a bit bored and I decided to tune out. But I will watch all of it. To be fair, I was watching it like when I shouldn't have been. Like I was busy at work and it was like I got distracted. But I was also like snooze. But I'll watch it and it looks great. Like it looks good. Martin Scorsese is an incredible director. I will say it on the record. But yeah, a 3.5 hour Western isn't my style.
I definitely haven't watched the trailer. I just read the article where it was like, Lily Gladstone was this close to going into like a tech IT job and quitting, and then she saw her Gmail. She had an email from Scorsese saying, "Hey, let's Zoom." That is the most iconic thing I've ever heard in my life.
Genuinely.
No, I'm sure the trailer's great because it's Scorsese, but my brain is just on a loop of the Dune trailer.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
So.
I can definitely appreciate that. All right. Well, the other
What did you think of the...
It looks
Killers?
amazing.
Yeah.
It looks absolutely stunning. Just cinematically gorgeous. And I'm just beyond excited for this movie. I cannot emphasize just how exciting this movie is for me. What I also... like another aspect of it is we're getting Scorsese we don't have the cloud of de-aging technology above this. It's just a Scorsese movie that he's making. So I that is something that I'm excited for. Like, cause I like Irishman. Like, I think Irishman is a very, very good movie, but the de-aging technology does have this cloud above it. This one I'm just like, oh no, okay, it's just a solid story and movie that they're telling.
I also just love that, like, in this kind of weird age of film that we're in where you can't get certain films financed, but then other films, like, hundreds of millions of dollars are being poured into. I love that there is still a thing where Scorsese can find some studio to give him $200 million on a film they're never going to make money back on.
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, there's so many, whether it's a superhero film or some sort of IP, like, driven film or whatever, you'll get hundreds of millions of dollars poured into them. And it's like, some of them make a profit, some of them don't. If we're going to be putting hundreds of millions of dollars into movies not making a profit, I'd rather it be like a Scorsese or like it just, because even if the movie's not your movie, you know that it's going to be so well made and so well directed. And you're just like, yeah, I'd rather that be the movie that, like, if there's going to be a movie that just bleeds money, let's have it be that one.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea.
Well, that is October this year, so that's going to be exciting.
End of this year is going to be wild.
Yeah, and we get in a theater. That's what I think is my favorite part about it. They're actually doing theater release for it. It's an Apple TV movie, but it is going into a theater, like a proper wide release. So that's I'm very excited for. All right.
Now it's time for your favorite segment where you have nothing to contribute anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously it's the NBA playoffs, so I have not watched a single movie right now. It's the NBA playoffs. My whole week has just been dedicated to basketball.
We had to pause the start of this episode to watch the end of one.
We did. Sorry, Blake.
R.I.P. Blake. Hope you're doing
Sorry.
well out there.
So yeah, I have not been watching anything. But Taylor, what have you been watching this week?
So I finally got to go see Polite Society.
Let's go.
Which Jacob needs to watch immediately.
Yeah, I know.
Add it to the list of
At least it's getting longer and longer.
Yeah, I know. So before I actually get into Polite Society, I want to give a shout out to the real MVP, which was the cinema worker who came in and kicked out a bunch of teenagers after I went and complained to her. She was, not only did she come in and like kick them out, she came in and she was like, out. I don't want to hear it. Out. She was just not. She was just not messing around. She was like, "Get the hell out! Like, don't even look at me." I was so mad though because it was like 3 like 12-year-old boys who had no like there was no reason for them to be in Polite Society in the first place. There's no way they actually wanted to see that movie.
They wanted to see Evil Dead. I would put money on it. They wanted to see Evil Dead.
Yeah. Like, literally the whole first 10, 15 minutes of the movie before I had to leave and go find someone to take care of the situation, they were, like, playing, like, moaning noises on their phone and, like, like high-pitched, like, screaming randomly. Like, it wasn't even them just, like, you know, like, being loud with popcorn. It was, like, legit. They were just trying to be assholes.
Oh, my gosh.
So that was really annoying. I was like, seriously? Like, I get that you want to come to the movie theater and be assholes, but like,
do you have to?
Polite Society? Like, seriously?
Try this one.
Like, get the fuck out. Anyway, so at some point I want to rewatch the first like 10 minutes because I was so just, my mind was in a different place because I was like, I don't want to get up out of my seat, have to go walk out, have to go find someone to deal with this and then come back because it's just like... You're just like missing parts of the movie and then it's a whole thing, but no one else in the theater was going to do it. Like I could tell that no one else was going to get up and do it, even though there was like probably 10 of us in there. So I was like, fine, fucking whatever. Anyway.
The 2 cinema workers are just like, oh.
I had to kick some guys out of, I wasn't even on shift, but I had to kick some guys out of,
Fast and Furious.
No, John Wick.
Oh.
My sister was in there. She's like, are you at work right now? Can you come kick some dudes out? And that was my method. I was like, no, they're just out, please.
I did it for when we saw Knives Out.
Yeah.
I didn't kick him out, but I basically forced them to. I went up and said, you two, shut up. I just told
you
them
went over and you just laid down the law.
Yeah.
But Polite Society is like I ghost wrote that movie. For sure.
If
See
you
what I mean when it's like such a Taylor movie?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you didn't listen to our last episode, Alayna basically went, Taylor, did you write Polite Society?
I was like, this is a Taylor movie through and through.
It totally is. And I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to spoil it for anyone, specifically Jacob. Mm-hmm. Like, I need to know, like, if he goes into this in 10 minutes and he's like, oh, I know exactly where this is going. Because if you do, I'll beat the shit out of you. There's no way. There's no way. Anyway, yeah, this movie is nuts. Like, it is absolutely absurd in the best possible way. There's so much fun action. There's romance. There's like, it's just fun. It's funny, and like the costuming is really cool. Just the aesthetic of the movie generally is really, really cool. Yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun, and like I said, action-packed, and it just kind of is a vibe. I don't even really know how to describe it. Like, you just kind of have to watch it.
Exactly.
Like, it takes some swings, and it's just, yep, I don't know. Like, it's hard to talk about without
talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
So everyone go watch it, basically, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So I watched that, and then I watched the classic 1996 film Independence Day. And why are you laughing at me?
No, I'm not laughing at you.
Is it not a classic?
No, it is a classic. It is a classic. I just know that you don't think it's a classic because I don't think you've ever seen it.
Nope.
Yeah, there we go.
Listen, Roland Emmerich has done one thing correct, and it is Independence Day 1996. Don't go watch Moonfall, is all I have to say. This movie just reminded me, like, it's one of those movies where you watch it and you go, man, action movies just used to fucking rock. Like, they just used to go hard. And they knew exactly what they were doing. Like, they were just being action films. The script was cheesy. And, like, there was kind of, like, a story with the characters. But it was more just like, no, there's a fucking alien invasion. And, yep, everything's just a mess. And cool. Like, weird aliens and, like, just crazy nonsense. Like, it it just knows exactly what it is. The cast kicks ass. Like, it's such a good cast. And it has possibly the most universally agreed upon element in that it has the best, like, inspirational movie speech of all time.
Single greatest movie speech ever.
Like,
the greatest movie speech ever.
It just...
Have you guys seen Frances Ha?
I have seen Frances Ha, yes. But I'm going to say something that is going to be controversial to Jacob, and he's going to be like, get out. So, the first best inspirational movie speech of all time is this one by Bill Pullman as the president. Second is Idris Elba in Pacific Rim, the canceling the apocalypse speech. Don't at me. Don't at me.
Just anyway, okay.
Yeah, except it's Idris Elba, so it kicks ass.
Fair.
You can out yourself and say that, you know, you think it's that you are a Guillermo del Toro hater if you really want.
I'm not a Del Toro
So,
hater. I just
that's
do not
fine.
like Pacific Rim.
Yeah, because you're lame. And also, here's the thing. They're both just kick-ass action movies with aliens and shit, and they're both... You know what? Fuck yeah, I kind of want to watch them back-to-back now. I kind of want to make that a double feature.
I actually...
What a coincidence.
Yeah. I will say this. I do need to re-watch Pacific Rim. Especially, I think, in today's landscape. I think I may have taken it for granted. Gorgeous looking giant action movies that, because in the early 2010s they were pretty standard. Like you were more interested in, what's your story like, you'd started to become more interested in that. And now we're kind of at a point where it's like, can we just have filmmakers again, please?
Dude, I really think you need to watch
I think if I rewatch Pacific Rim,
I think
I'd love
it falls into this same vein of Independence Day, where it's just like, no, this is just a cool movie with aliens, and it's made by a filmmaker who knows what they're doing, and they can move a camera, and they can, like, it just, I think you'll appreciate it more retrospectively with the kind of movies that we're getting now, especially in the action genre.
I think Charlie Hunnam was my problem in that too.
I mean, I get that. That's fair.
He's not Will Smith. Like, he just doesn't have the charisma that Will Smith does.
No, he doesn't, but also... He doesn't, but it kind of, like, to me, it kind of works with the kind of character they're trying to give you. Like, I don't think they're trying to give you a Will Smith character. He's more of, like... Because Will Smith is supposed to be, like, the charming guy. I feel like Charlie Hunnam's character is more like the... tragic backstory guy, whereas Will Smith's character is not that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a different kind of archetype. But anyway, Independence Day just kicks ass. It always has, but like you said, with the kind of action movies we get a lot of the time now, when you sit down and watch it back, you're like, oh yeah. Yep. Good times.
Alayna, what did you watch this week?
I watched a lot, but I'm only going to actually talk about two.
Okay.
But like rapid fire, I watched The Innocent. Great, funny movie. It was an 8:30 session. I was by myself. It was great. I rewatched Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses, the best Barbie movie. I rewatched Dune as a little comfort day that I was having.
I really need to rewatch Dune.
You do. I also rewatched La La Land twice, but that's, again, a regular occurrence. And I also finished off the Three Colors trilogy
Nice.
from the 90s, because I watched the first one in cinemas a few weeks ago, and so I finished it off. Really masterful trilogy. Everyone needs to get around to that. And because Palace are doing the retrospective of Wes Anderson, I couldn't go this week, but they were playing Life Aquatic, so I rewatched that at home. And I definitely liked it more on a second watch.
Okay.
Mainly because my first watch was clouded with judgment that I'm not going to talk about. But the second time was really great.
That's the one I'm not a fan of, so I might need to rewatch it. Did you ever actually redo Royal Tenenbaums?
Yeah, I did.
And I can't remember what you thought.
Didn't I talk about it?
I'm pretty
might.
sure she did.
Oh, you
I
might
did.
have. Okay. My brain's
yeah, I did
just
last
not
week,
working.
but I bumped it up a star, but I was
Okay.
still like, Anyway,
moving on.
But yeah, the two films I do really, really want to talk about. First of all, Short Term 12. If you've heard of it, it's so heartwarming and optimistic, but so depressing. I genuinely was crying for like 40 minutes. It just started and it didn't stop. But it's directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who director of Shang-Chi and Just Mercy, and he's going to direct Kang Dynasty and
Yeah, that's a movie that's going to happen.
Yeah. But like crazy to think that he went from this small, really indie, like heartfelt movie to huge blockbuster.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it happens a lot, but I think it's like watching this movie, it's weird to think it's the same dude that directed Shang-Chi. But the cast is stacked as well.
Yeah.
Like Brie Larson, Caitlin Dever, Rami Malek, who is just the funniest character in this. Lakeith Stanfield, this was his first feature, and he knocked it out of the park. I watched it and then looked through the cast list and everything and saw that it was his first feature, and I was just shocked. He is incredible in this and brings so much focus and nuance to his character that is so needed. But yeah, like I said, makes you cry, and if that's what you want, then watch it. But I say that in a good and bad way, because it was super optimistic while also being like presenting really harsh themes, because it's about a supervisor at a foster care facility who is helping at-risk teens, and a certain girl shows up and they share this bond, and I think because of her, like Brie Larson's childhood, they kind of have this bond that is unspoken, and she feels this deep care for her and kind of goes to any means to help her. So yeah, it's heavy, it is, but if you're in the mood for it, just go for it. It's only 90 minutes. Really recommend. I kind of got the vibes of The Way Back in terms of, I don't even know what in terms of, but it's got that kind of feel to it. So if that's your thing, definitely check out Short Term 12. And on the complete other end of the spectrum is Infinity Pool, which just came out in Australian cinemas. Thanks, Australian distributors. And this is my first Cronenberg movie. I've never seen a Cronenberg movie before. Have you guys?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I have done a few Cronenberg. But I've not done his body horror Cronenberg. I've done more. I'm not good on body horror.
Oh.
Like, I just can't do body horror. So I know but I do know what you're talking about with Cronenberg.
Yeah, don't watch this then.
No, I know. I know my limits. Infinity Pool would break my limits.
Yes. So basically, I was going in knowing it's a Cronenberg, and that Cronenberg is pretty full on. And I decided to read, because I had also heard it was just like really explicit. So I read the Parents Guide on IMDb, and it scared the fuck out of me. It's like the fact that I'll have to watch this in a cinema with other people. Like, I was just like, this is going to be a bit awkward, but it's fine. I'll go in. Basically, it's about a couple who are staying at an isolated resort and enjoying this like picture perfect vacation. But eventually Mia Goth turns up and fucks shit up as she does. And they are kind of guided out of the resort grounds, and they're in a pretty scary place outside of their resort, which is kind of where people are drawing resemblances to the White Lotus, because it's, I guess, a capitalist commentary, and rich people are doing rich people shit. But that's kind of where the resemblance stops, because if people, a lot of people online are like, if you watch the White Lotus, if you love the White Lotus, you should watch Infinity Pool, and I don't.
White Lotus, this like fairly dialogue heavy effed up show, but not effed up in
that way.
Not in that way, yeah.
But yeah, it's thrilling, it's grotesque, it's not for the faint of heart, aka Jacob. And a lot of body horror that for me was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, there's a scene where someone's just stabbing and stabbing and stabbing, and just it's very close up, and it didn't affect me whatsoever. But you guys would lose your friggin' minds. But yeah, saying that though, it is a pretty funny satire as well, with some poignant commentary on exactly how far the wealthy will go for what they want. I do wish it just lent more into that, instead of spending unnecessary yet necessary time on trying to gross out its audience, because the scenes where it's really effed up and graphic are hidden stylistically well, which is also why the Parents Guide freaked me out, but the actual movie was like fine because it was hidden within like lighting and cinematography and that kind of thing. And while I loved those sequences for the filmmaking, I think it spent a bit too much time on that and instead of fleshing out the story, and that's why it didn't really stick the landing for me. But overall, I did really love it. And yeah, if you're a horror fan through and through, and if nothing really bothers you in terms of that kind of theme, go see Infinity Pool because it's a blast. It is. So yeah, those are the two I wanted to talk about.
All right. Well, that is all what we've been watching, because again, I have been focusing very heavily on the NBA playoffs and not so much on movies, which I think sums up I actually looked at my last 4 Letterboxd. You know what the number 4 is? No, that's number 3, I think.
You're kidding. Mario then.
Yeah, it's Mario. Mario's number 4, yeah. It's Fast X,
I
Guardians.
always say this, but you started the year watching
I know.
60 movies and then that's
Yeah, I know. Anyway. All right, let's move on to our main review. We're, of course, talking about the 10th Fast and Furious film, Fast X. Dominic Toretto and his family are targeted by the vengeful son of drug kingpin Herman Reyes.
Dominic Toretto, you're about to learn all about fear. Oh, you built such a beautiful life, filled with love and family. I never got that chance. You stole that from me. My future. My family. And now, I'm gonna break yours. Piece by piece.
So let's go around and just give everyone some context what we brought into this movie. My experience with Fast and Furious is I appreciate some of these movies. I think there are 2 genuinely good movies. One that gets saved by the unfortunate passing of Paul Walker. I think that the emotional ending of that movie helps cover up a lot of the problems in it. Every other Fast and Furious movie hasn't really worked for me. That being said, I would call myself mostly a fan of these franchise. Like, I think, like, for the most part, I still enjoy going to see them, and then I'll watch them and be like, that was bad. And then the next one will come back. I'm excited for this. This looks like it's going to be fun. And then that was bad. So I think that's kind of where I'm at with these. I think 5 and 6 are the 2 that work really well because, one, they're heist movies. Both of them, more than anything else, are heist movies alone. And the problem I think that this franchise has moved away from is they're now spy movies that aren't as interesting. But we can get into that a bit later. But that's what my baggage coming into this 10th movie was. Taylor, what about you?
So I have fully seen and remember Fast 5, 6, 7, 9, Hobbs and Shaw, and this new one. I know I've seen parts of the first movie, but like in its entirety, I don't think I've seen a movie until Fast 5. Like, I've seen like chunks of some of the first 4. And then I refused to watch Fate of Furious, so I haven't seen the 8th one. But yeah, so I had some context going in, and then because I had seen 5 and 6, I felt like I had the right amount of context for this specific movie, which we'll get into when we actually talk about the movie. But for anyone that hasn't seen 5 and 6 going into this one, I feel like had an interesting time, which again we'll get into. But so these movies I don't really have a personal attachment to. I hadn't really seen a full one until a couple of years ago. And so when I go into them, I'm like, oh, this is probably going to be really bad. But even if it's really bad, I don't really care. Like it's not a big thing for me. So when we saw Hobbs and Shaw, I was like, yeah, this is exactly what my expectations are, in the garbage, on fire, needing to be thrown over a cliff. Like, Hobbs and Shaw was horrendous. But then when we sat down and went to see F9, I had a great time. Like, I think I like Fast 9 more than most people do, just because I was like, this is absurd and fun and ridiculous, and I don't care if it follows the story that's been around the whole time. I don't care if the characters are not, like, I just didn't care. I just had fun with how absurd it was. And with this one, that's kind of the attitude I had again, where I was like, if they just take the crazy action and the crazy storylines and just the absurd shit and just crank it up to 11 again, I'm so in. Because I feel like that's when these movies really thrive. Is when they're not trying to take themselves too seriously, and they're not trying to make the drama be this like really intense, serious drama. Like, I want soap opera level telenovela. Like, that is what I want when it comes to the drama of these movies. And I think Fast X, aka should have been called Fast 10 Your Seatbelt, which I'm still mad we didn't get that. Anyway, I'll always be bitter about the missed opportunity there. But I think this movie is what it should lean into if they're going to keep making these movies. Just being absurd and having drama that is tongue-in-cheek and like knows that it's kind of ridiculous and is just having fun with it. Because there are moments in this movie that feel pretty meta to me, and in terms of like the family aspect, which I really appreciated. But yeah, I had a fun time with it. And I don't know if I want to say too much else until we get into like actual spoiler territory. I will say though, like, the amount of kick-ass women in this film made me so happy. Like, you had Michelle and Natalie and Jordana and Daniela and Helen and Charlize and Brie and Rita and Gal, and you're just like, dude, what? Like, is the Fast franchise really going to be the one that's like, not only do we have like actual diversity where it's not just a bunch of white guys, but there's also a bunch of women who are also very diverse, and they all pass the Bechdel test. Like, none of them are there talking about, like, when they're talking to each other, it's about like, oh, we got to get out of here, or like, oh, like, it's, I don't know. I just think it's kind of insane that that's where we're at, where it's like, got to look to the Fast movies for the example of what we need going on right now, because that's kind of the case when you actually look at the cast of this movie.
Alayna,
Yeah.
what did you bring into this movie?
Okay, so Furious 7 came out in 2015, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I went and saw that with my friend at the time, probably just because
I think every
like
man
a
and their
thing.
dog saw 7 because of the Paul Walker stuff and everything.
I don't think either of us cared particularly, but we we were 13, we just did it. And that's all. Yeah, that's all I brought. But like, I haven't watched that movie since, so even then, all I remember is the "see you again" scene. So, and the needle drop was very funny, personally. But that's all I have with the Fast franchise. I don't care beyond that. But going into this, everyone knows I was just like, oh my God, I have to watch this bloody movie. But I was saying that, but I genuinely did go in with an open mind. I was like, you know what? If I'm going to have to watch it, I'm just going to let go, have fun. I do that with most movies that I know are going to be bad. For example, like Cocaine Bear, I was like, this is not going to be a movie that I need to criticize. So like, let's just come along for the ride. But this was just beyond what I could comprehend personally. Am I going full review right now? Or
Go full review.
Okay.
Go
I don't even have a full review, but I was just wondering if I'm actually going to talk.
Yeah,
right
talk
now.
about it.
Okay.
Talk about it.
it started and it didn't really end. And it just kept going and going and going, and it was kind of just insufferable. I was like in it for the first like 5-10 minutes. I was like, okay, well, this is fine. And I don't know what exactly happened where I fully checked out. But
I know exactly what scene. I know the scene that when I first saw it, I went, that's going to be the scene that Alayna texts me and say, what the fuck are you making me watch?
What is it?
It's the one where he's in bed and we get the super serious Vin Diesel going for an Oscar speech, and it's just, Vin, you can't act. When he's lying in bed saying,
that wasn't where I fully checked out. I'll get to that later, but that was the first straw.
When that happened, I was like, guys, this is not telenovela. This is getting too, we're swinging too far the wrong way. No serious drama.
And just I don't know what, maybe it was just me. I am fully prepared for this to just be a me problem. But I texted Jacob, I was like, I feel like they recorded the whole movie done. They get to the editing room and they're like, oh shit, Bobby forgot to turn on the mic. And then they just had to get everyone back into the recording booth to do dubbing, and it sounded like they just for me it just didn't match up, and it sounded so inauthentic, and I just could not get past that the whole movie. Even the sound design, I'm so sorry I'm going on a negative rant to start. You guys can go positive after. But the sound design just generally, like, there's a scene where like 20 people like get their guns out and clock their guns, but it's so out of time with when people are actually getting their guns out. I don't expect it to be perfect, but like, it is a $340 million movie. And then, speaking of, for $340 million, do you not have money for a good green screen? Because my God, like, some of that green screen action was just absurd. And I was trying so hard to not, like, I know this is so silly because it's like, why is she analyzing the filmmaking of a fucking Fast and Furious movie? But when you have that much money, I can't help but do it. And it was the main reason why it was a bit silly. And I'll get to the more silliness in like spoiler territory. But like, that's the gist of it. And also, there was something else I was going to say, but I can't remember. I'm just too mad right now.
We'll get more into spoilers, but I think this movie. I agree with basically everything you said. I think the acting in this movie, bar one performance, is atrocious.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Jason Momoa.
Yeah, we'll get into Momoa. Yeah. Momoa, I want to leave for spoilers, and we'll get into. And there's a reason.
Generally, this isn't spoiling that he slays.
Yeah. He's amazing in this movie. He is incredible.
Yeah.
Barring Jason Momoa, the acting is. I don't even want to say it's the acting's fault, but I think Vin Diesel's acting's awful. But I think most of the acting is just very much there. The dialogue is some of, if not the worst I have ever seen in a modern day blockbuster since maybe Transformers Last Night. This is horrific. The dialogue in this is atrociously bad. And like, that was just bringing me out of the movie so much. But then I was getting brought back in because of Momoa's performance. And every time he is on screen, it just brought me straight back in.
I just want to say, for anyone that thinks this dialogue is the worst dialogue in modern filmmaking, please go watch Ghosted and come back to me.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, I haven't watched Ghosted. Okay, I'll give you that.
I'm just saying.
Fair enough. But like, and then I thought the directing was terrible. I really didn't think it was I thought the action was badly shot. I didn't think it was particularly
interesting. There was a sequence, I think, when they went to Rio.
Yeah.
And like, the camera was doing some shit and it looked like a TikTok edit, like with the panning and whipping and going everywhere. I felt like I was on drugs or something.
To me, that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part of the editing was when they were like, the city names were coming up, it was just that god-awful, like, stainless steel motherfucking, like, I don't know what the hell that decision was. But also, it was so unnecessary, because they'd be like, he's in Rio. Rio. They'd be like, oh, we're going here.
We
It's
just-
like, bam.
And it's also like a major, they show like a major landmark like
Yeah.
5 times.
Yeah.
It's like, I think the audience might be able to work out that they are in Rio. Yeah.
Or when they were like, oh, God, like, Rome must be a setup. Rome. And you're like, thank you for that. I fucking, okay.
This movie I think is the biggest problem with it because it really inserted itself into the movie. Ever since 7, the agency and the shadow government agency that nobody and all of that all work for has been very much to the side and has never really overtaken the story and never really like shoved itself into your face through the way that it had in this movie. It was bad, and it started to really turn this franchise from what I like, which was the heist and the cars and the silliness of we're getting street races to do this globe-trotting mission. It's turned that into these guys are doing regular, serious, they're super spies. And I don't know, there was something about it that just...
See, that's why I was also confused. I mean, I was like fully prepared for it to just be, I haven't watched any of the other movies and I don't get the progression of it, but like, why are the stakes so high?
Yeah, and to be fair, the movies have built that. Like, so the reason why I love 5 the most is because that one is pure, unadulterated heist movie. It is a group of criminals going to rob a bank or going to rob someone, and it's just this awesome kick-ass heist movie, and it's ridiculous, it's over the top, but it works because heist movies are awesome. Like, it's really hard to mess up a heist movie. If you give us characters we like, you're generally going to be able to do it. And I think in Fast 5 they really do give us characters we like, and we actually do get to spend time with them as a family and have the whole family dynamic, which is what this franchise is able to do so well. And I think inherently the problem with this movie is they split up the family. There is like, outside of the opening scene, there's not one scene where everyone's together. And I think that is inherently a problem with it that makes it so that it doesn't work quite as strong. And I think we don't get as many moments with everyone and everyone gets to shine, and it kind of just feels like we are starting to overload and get way too many people into this stuff, and it's definitely starting to...
See, that's where you're going wrong, my man. You're going into this for character.
I know, and I get that, but
that's where you trust me. You want more Vin Diesel monologue scenes?
But no, but I want the more where they're all interacting together as the giant group and and working together, and I don't think we got quite enough of that.
I just don't think you can.
Yeah.
With how big the fucking family is at this point. You want 27 people in one scene trying to interact together?
That's fair.
Because I feel like, I mean, I liked the scenes when you got the London crew or the Rome crew or whatever you want to call it, where, you know, you had, I don't know any of the fucking characters' names, so I can't really help you there. But girl from Game of Thrones.
And, Roman, Tej,
yeah.
Han, and... I cannot remember her name either.
Yeah,
what her character's name is.
That whole group. Also, thanks to this fucking movie for the Pete Davidson jump scare. Jesus.
Okay. I'm glad we're saying that now. That is when I checked out.
Oh, okay.
When he came on screen, I was like, that's enough for me. That's it.
Jacob looked at me and was like, are you okay?
All right, I think we've danced around it enough. Let's go into spoilers.
All right.
I think we actually do want to start talking about spoilers because we want to talk about positive things as well. So
yeah,
this is your spoiler alert for Fast X.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
All right. Let's just talk about Momoa and the reason why I waited till spoilers. None of the trailers have spoiled who his character actually is.
No. Like in the context of...
yeah.
Like who he's related to, it doesn't actually tell you anything.
It
doesn't.
No, it doesn't. But I'm more meaning like it's... the type of character he is. Every single trailer has set him up as just another generic, I am a bad guy, I am super serious, I am going to kill you.
Right.
He's
not that.
He is not that. And I think that is one of the single greatest surprises I have had in a movie theater all year. When he comes on screen and he is just flamboyant, over the top, and enjoying the hell out of this. It's so great. His... I'll let you talk about the other one, but the first one where he's when he's in Rome and he says, "Where are we gonna? Oh, so what are we gonna blow up? The Vatican? Oh, you're going to hell!" Like, it's just so funny and just works so well. And I think what Momoa is able to do is perfect in this movie, and he is the reason this movie is fun. At least that I can have fun with it while watching it and go, I just want more. I was genuinely terrified they were going to kill him off.
Yeah, I was worried about that too.
Because Vin Diesel's interview was, the villain for part 2, when it was only going to be part 2 and not a 3-part finale. The villain for part 2 we're still trying to cast and look for. And I was just like, no, you have him. He is your villain for the next 3 movies. I don't care. He is the main villain now. He has to be it. He is so good in this. I want him in all 3, and he is your villain. He is not turning good. He is the villain. So yeah, Momoa in this is absolutely sensational.
So in my review, I literally put in my letterboxd review, I said, Jason Momoa's character is cinema. He knows exactly what movie he's in, understood the assignment, and delivered. Shout out to the real MVPs, the wardrobe department, for putting him in head-to-toe purple while he's in a purple car, painting his nails different colors to coordinate with his outfits that he's wearing at any given time, a string of pearls, and adorable pigtail man buns. Truly inspired. Which leads to the scene that you were hinting at. The Weekend at Bernie's scene where he is giving like pedicures to corpses that their faces are all horrifiedly taped up, and he's sitting there doing like a self-care face mask spa day with these corpses that he's brutally murdered, and he's just talking to them and having
about toxic masculinity
toxic masculinity and self-care, like, and painting toenails, like that's cinema, baby. That is. But I was laughing so hard. I was like, this might be my favorite scene of all time. Like,
that genuinely is the tone of what this movie needs to keep going for. If that whole sequence, every time they did that, it worked perfectly.
It never felt like it was being overutilized.
Nope.
Like, every time he was just being his character, I was never like, oh, this bit is so... It's like, no, this character's just fucking fun.
Yeah.
Like, he's just so cool.
And like... and it never felt like, I'm rooting for him. You're not rooting. He is still the bad guy.
I was rooting for him, but that's just because I hate everyone else.
That's fair. But like, I think it manages to balance that line so perfectly of he is just a pure psychopath. But my God, it's fun watching him have fun. Like, it's just, I cannot speak highly enough of how amazing Momoa is in this movie. And just... he absolutely makes this film. He is the reason it works. And yeah, absolutely incredible performance from him.
Outside of him, I feel like John Cena is the only other one where you're like, I believe it.
Yeah.
You don't look at his scenes and go, wow, that's some bad acting. You're like, nope. Chill. Hell yeah.
Yeah. My and I said this my favorite thing about John Cena's character in this movie, though, is he was in the last one. He's the villain of 9. And yeah, I know. He's the super serious, tough guy who's going to come in and kill everybody, and super serious through the entire movie. He gets the big emotional arc at the end and all that. And it's like, in this one, he's peacemaker. He's happy-go-lucky and everything. And I was like, that is not the same character. That is John Cena playing John Cena. Like,
and I was so for it. I was like, hell yeah. See, that's what happens when you get inducted into the family, Jacob. You become part of the family, and you just, everything's just rainbows and shit. It's a great time, which I do want to talk about now that we're in spoilers. I feel like they were so meta with the whole family thing. They finally figured out how to make it work in the context where it's not just like, again, they're trying to be super serious and dramatic and like, oh, this is our family and you're like supposed to take it seriously. I feel like in this movie with the twist at the end, when it's revealed that the guy that I don't know characters' names, but the guy
Ains, I think.
Yeah, who was like the head of the agency now and like kind of double crossed the team at the very end with Momoa, where they basically gave the speech where it's like, oh, Dom, you'd think that people are just willing to flip to your side and always be on your side and just become a part of the family. And I just really liked that they kind of poked fun at it, where it was like, yeah, these movies have just made it like they're the villain and then they become part of the family. And it took that trope that they've been using, it really twisted it on its head. And they were like, nope, you thought that this guy, you know, had changed his ways and was part of your crew now, but not everyone's going to be on your side. And I just really liked that. Like, I thought it was really effective storytelling that kind of subverted the expectations we've kind of been conditioned to accept with these movies, where that's the formula. There's a bad guy, and then at the end, he becomes part of the family. And in this one, they were like, think again. Absolutely not happening, which I really enjoyed. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I like Ames' character was like, okay, cool. I see what you're trying to do here. I went, oh, he's the replacement for The Rock. But, like, because, you know, they're not getting The Rock back. And then he's not. He's the bad guy now. Okay, cool. Going back to this, talking about, like, scenes, I just really hated everything with the agency in this movie. That introduction scene where Brie Larson walks in and Ames is using the fucking CGI. That is one of the worst scenes I've seen in cinema this year, and that includes Quantumania. That was not good. Bad. That was really, really, that screamed reshoot.
Yeah.
Like, it screamed last minute reshoot. Because, and that's the other thing. Like, this franchise has never really gone full sci-fi the way it did in this movie. This is the one that really started to go, no, this government has future tech and everything. Like, it's starting to really push the envelope on how much you're willing to accept as an audience. And I think that sort of thing was where it really started to kind of piss me off and annoy me.
Fair, but also Brie Larson in those outfits made me literally not care.
And that's
even
fair.
A little bit. Every time she walked in, I was like, hell yeah! Like that scene where they're on the fucking bridge and she steps on top of the purple car and just puts her sparkly sneaker right into the fucking hood of the car. I was like, yep, don't care about anything else. That's just step on the car and then step on me and we're good. You know? Like, that was great with that. That blue suit was just everything to me.
So what did okay? How did the impact? I'm trying to What was some scenes for you that you were just what is going on?
Mainly Rome.
Rome, yeah.
Because I was laughing the whole time because it was just, I know it's meant, like, it's not meant to be realistic. I know that. And it's meant to be a bit absurd and silly. But the big ass bomb just rolling and rolling and rolling, and they're just chasing it, trying to stop it. And then it's like, smashing cars. I was like, why? It just went on for so long. And just those kinds of sequences of action where, I don't know, just all of that. I literally don't know how to talk about this, but anything like that was just a bit much for me. And then with some guy clapped. Oh, what sequence was it? I think it was a bridge, water underneath somewhere.
Is that when he reverses out of the plane?
Maybe?
And like lands that might
How
be
far in was that?
Near the end.
Oh, it was before that.
Oh, okay.
Are you talking about like the crane situation?
Maybe.
Like the bridge with the crane.
It was like
Oh,
40
yes.
backs into the crane.
Oh my god.
It was like 40-ish minutes in.
It's at the end of Rome where to knock. Oh my god, that scene was amazing. Where he knocks to knock the bomb into the water. He drives off the bridge and hits the crane.
This was the same sequence.
That sequence.
Yeah. Someone I looked to my left and someone was like, had their arms up and were like, had the most shocked face. And then the bomb went off and they were like, clapping and they were like going crazy. I was like, oh my God. That was that whole. I guess I didn't realize it was still in Rome. That's how much I've blocked out.
It's like literally taking place in front of the Vatican, and Elena's like, nope, means nothing to me.
Going there in 6 weeks doesn't. No.
No, but that's the bridge scene at the end where the two helicopters get crashed together is just
No.
like
is so
that is
much.
everything to me. They were like, oh yeah, let's both fly really close together and attach lines to this
Harpoons.
car. Let's harpoon this
work.
car, and I'm sure nothing bad could possibly happen.
Right?
Like that sounds like a really solid plan.
I was like, this is the kind of stuff that I was fully willing to lean into and just be like, hell yeah, like,
Yeah.
fucking
It
go.
was-
But I just couldn't. I just could not.
And I get that because I think I'm fascinated and I really want you to do it and you won't, but I really want you to watch Fast Five.
There's not,
I really want you to just watch Five.
I have so many better things to do with
No,
my
I know.
time.
And here's the reason I say
so many
it.
more rewatches of La La Land to do in my life.
I want you to do Five because I want to hear your reaction after watching 10. So after watching 10 and then watching 5.
What's the
and
correlation?
5 is the one that at the opening of 5 when they steal the vault the opening of this one where they're stealing the vault and then they're driving through Rio at the start.
That happens in the fifth
That's
movie.
the finale of 5.
Like that's a scene directly from the fifth movie.
Right.
Yeah. So this movie is essentially the sequel to 5. This is like them going. Do you ever watch 22 Jump Street?
Yes.
Okay, 22 Jump Street does
Briefly.
22 Jump Street has in their credits a joke that goes the return of Ghost, and it's like in their post credit scenes is like the eighth sequel is doing the return of Ghost. That's what this movie has done. And it's just like they've gone, we've grabbed a villain from a previous movie and brought them in for the future as the main villain who is this. And it wasn't played by Momoa, and like you never mentioned him before in the past. But like, yeah, that's essentially what they've done. And they're making it this big epic finale, which is just like the most amazing thing in the entire world. But I really want you to watch 5 to see just how like low key 5 is compared to this. That 5 is just
Where they're like, this is a direct sequel, and no, the tone's not vastly different, and it's not cranked up to 27,
Yeah,
and it's completely.
No.
like 5 is
It's so down to earth compared to this movie.
See, that's why I'd probably enjoy those movies better. It's just like where it's gotten to now.
And I get that. Like the first one's literally street racing.
Yeah.
like
That's
literally
it.
all
But
it is.
even so, I still don't care.
Yeah, like the first one is an undercover cop trying to find who's stealing Blu-ray players. Sorry, not Blu-rays, DVD players. 'Cause,
players.
Yeah, DVD players. That is the first
And they
movie.
race a bunch of cars, like, but regularly.
See, that's why I'm like, why? How have we gotten this far out of, like, to the fact that they are terrorists? Like, why the fuck are they terrorists? Like, I don't.
The stupid thing is, it makes sense.
I don't know if you actually
I'm not going to ask how, because it's a whole thing.
it's a whole
But
thing.
like,
is.
I just can't believe it's gotten to this point.
I know, I get but they've done
Like,
it
imagine
so-
John Wick getting to like.
Yo, I get
Venus
that. Yeah,
on the moon,
I
and
know.
they're like,
I get it. I get. Dude, the 9th one, the car went to space.
Yeah, I know that.
Like that happened.
is amazing, and actually in the context of the film, you're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, like it makes sense. Like it doesn't make sense, but you're like, I get it. Like I think, okay, fair enough. Like there are things that, like I said, like 5 and 6 are my two favorites because they're the ones that they push the envelope just enough, but not to the point of ridiculousness, and I can believe it and have fun with it. So yeah, I would love for you to watch 5, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on 5. That's the
You're gonna
one.
have to wait a while.
I know I am, but I would. That is my one request. I will watch any movie.
I watch Fast 5
Yep.
before I watch like any Martin Scorsese movie. What is this? Is this okay?
for the this very second, yes, because I'm at that point where I really want to hear what your thoughts on Fast Five are.
Okay, cool. You heard it here first. Fast Five is more important than Martin Scorsese.
Unless you're doing his entire filmography.
Eventually.
That's fair. I'm probably going to redo it actually, and before Killers comes out. Okay, let's talk about the ending because, as I said, Taylor, what was the last genuine cliffhanger we had in a movie where it genuinely ended on
In
a bone?
like any movie ever?
No, but
like
as in
a Fast
genuinely.
movie.
No, well, not the Fast movies have never done that, but genuinely ended on a genuine bona fide. We are not giving you the ending of this movie cliffhanger, like it did, like this one, because even Infinity War didn't do that. Infinity War has an ending. It's not. It's a bleak ending, but it's an ending. Like I cannot remember the last, outside of Hunger Games, maybe.
Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head, obviously.
But this movie does end on the genuine cliffhanger that he's going to blow up the dam and drown Dom. So I know.
And you know, part of the family's dead.
Yeah,
presumably.
Yeah, and John Cena's apparently dead,
and which no one's dead in this franchise.
No.
And we've got the return of a certain lady character.
Gal Gadot is back. Giselle.
Yeah.
Giselle is alive. Giselle went splat on a runway in the 6th movie. So yeah, so she's back.
Which means John Cena can definitely come back.
Yeah. Oh, what I love,
obviously, because it was like they didn't explain it, but how? Like, are we just accepting the fact that she's?
They will explain it in the 10th, I'm assuming. In the 11th, I mean. I'm assuming, yeah. Like that but that's where we're at with this franchise. So I remember when 7 came out, there was a big thing about how Fast and Furious are so is the only franchise that is actually willing to kill off their characters, because this was during the Marvel aren't willing to kill characters phase of the MCU, where they just straight up would not kill any characters.
Here's Infinity War.
Yeah, but whereas at that point, Fast and Furious were willing. Han had been killed, Giselle had been killed, Letty had been killed, and then she got brought back. But they were willing to kill characters, and then now they've literally brought everyone but. Trying to think if there's any, obviously Brian's the only one who hasn't really come back, but they've never
He's
killed.
not dead,
I know they never killed
the
off
movie.
Brian. But yeah, that's it's just one of those. Yeah, everyone has come back. So that's. But yeah, we got the ending of.
Do you know one of and I should have seen this coming, and I didn't because I'm not super familiar with this universe and my mind just doesn't work that way. But when they were in London and they're like, there's one more place I can go. And Han's like, there's something I ought to do. And all of a sudden it's fucking Jason Statham.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? God damn it.
You didn't realize, you didn't call that?
Why would I realize that?
That's
what
fair.
context do I have where Han and Jason Statham know each other?
Han was Statham's the one who killed him.
Okay, but how would I know
true,
that?
that's fair.
I haven't
Fair
seen
enough.
that movie.
That's fair.
I haven't
you
seen the one where Han died. I don't actually know
fair.
anything about that.
That is
now
fair,
I do.
actually,
Thanks
yeah.
for that.
That's fair. That's in 7. Anyway.
Do you think I remember anything that's happened in Fast 7?
That's fair. Fair enough.
The only movies
It's actually Furious 7.
Yeah.
I don't fucking give a shit. It's now Fast 7.
Yeah.
You're welcome, everybody.
But yeah.
It's Fast 10, your seatbelt, and Fast 7, and I'm just giving everything a new name. No, why would I know that?
That's fair.
If it's not a car going into space, I don't remember anything that's happened to these movies. Character, how many times do I have to say character in these movies don't mean anything to me?
Yes.
And then also, okay, as someone who is not a Rock fan, grey bearded Rock, I'm like, okay, I'm excited. I hate these movies because they're dumb, they're bad movies, and I don't care. I'm so excited for the next one. So dumb.
Yeah. I'm not, but
That's fair.
I'm glad you guys have some excitement in your life. So why did you give this movie 3 stars?
Because
Just because
I had fun with it.
had
Like,
fun.
it's an awful movie. It is a genuinely bona fide awful movie. But because of Momoa,
so you gave like basically 3 stars to Momoa.
yeah, pretty much. I
Damn.
think he makes this movie. I think he's the only reason this movie works. If I go see it again, I probably won't enjoy it as much. I don't know, but like,
God, you're so lame.
For what? I probably won't.
Yeah,
But
you're lame.
Yeah, I know. But like, because the shock value and the just, oh my God, that is so awesome value. That is the first time you watch, that you get that surprise in that first moment. It will not be there. So it might taint it a little. I don't know. But, and you've kind of then got to rest on the foundations of it, of good storytelling, good stuff. Like, I need to engage with the actual storytelling that's being told, and I probably won't. It's why when I did that rewatch of all of them a couple of years ago, nearly everything except 5 and 6 went down quite a few notches, because they're the two that actually do have a good solid base of.
Hold on a second. Sorry. I'm looking this up because I feel like you were gaslighting me earlier by saying this. You're like, oh, yeah, you've totally seen that Han died. You've seen I haven't seen Tokyo Drift. What the fuck are you talking
but that
about?
wasn't Statham's not in Tokyo Drift. Han dies in Tokyo Drift,
Yeah,
but
that's what
Statham
I'm trying to
kills him in 7.
Okay, but that's not what I'm
Sorry.
talking about.
Han dies in Tokyo Drift, but Statham kills him in 7.
They
but then
it's a retcon. It was Han died in the third one, which is the one that Universal basically did because Vin Diesel wasn't coming back, Paul Walker wasn't coming back. It is the most offshoot one that they've ever done. It had no context with the family or anything, and then at the very, very end, Vin Diesel turns up, and in that movie, Han died. Then 4, 5, 6 all take place before Tokyo Drift because they suddenly had this thing of Han's a main character, but we have to kill him at some point, and they kept delaying killing Han. And then they tied Han dying into Furious 7, which is where Statham was the main villain and trying to kill everyone in the family. And to make him the big threat, he was the one who killed Han.
Okay, but do you see where my confusion came from now? Where I was like, I'm pretty sure he dies in Tokyo Drift, and Jacob's like, no.
4, 5, 6 take place before Tokyo Drift.
Yeah,
Yes,
but Tokyo Drift came out
So
first.
the chronological order of this franchise is 1, 2.
I did
4.
not realize there was a chronological.
Yeah, there
I
is.
thought
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
just
There is.
linear.
No.
It's 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 3. 10 minutes of 10 minutes of 7, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10.
But where's
Hobbs and Shaw.
Is Hobbs and Shaw after 10?
Sorry. 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 7, 8. Hobbs and Shaw, 9, 10.
Cool.
Anyway, I would just like to state for the record, I don't feel bad about being fucking confused.
No, that is absurd.
It is.
Anyway,
not realize-
my point was when Jason Statham randomly showed up, I was like, ah, damn it. Anyway,
But yeah, that's this franchise is my that's like Tokyo Drift was this. Oh god damn it! This thing's happening because Han became like this beloved character. So somehow, and
So they messed up a whole fucking order of this
Yeah.
shit just because Han was like
Han
cool.
was a cool character, and so Fast and Furious 4.
How did he die?
He in a car. Okay, originally in a car chase, and then there was a car chase happening. He lost control of the car. It spun out, crashed, and he burnt in the crash. That was the original death. Mm-hmm. And then they made 4, and 4 was we brought the original cast back to do 4, and it was basically their last shot at the gun of is Fast and Furious going to be a thing, and it actually made money. But Han was in the beginning of that, and if you watch 4, 5, and 6, every single time he always mentions Tokyo, like, oh, I'm going to go to Tokyo, I'm going to Tokyo at some point, like this. It's coming, we know. Anyway, and then at the post credit scene of 6 is the chase through Tokyo, but then you see another car driving, and he's the car that hit Han, took Han out, and then out of the car comes Jason Statham, and he calls Dom and says, "Just letting you know, I'm coming for you." And Han's car blows up, and that was the Jason Statham killed Han.
So they did all that, but they did all that roundabout just because Han died in a car crash. But Gal Gadot gets squashed, and she's allowed to come back alive.
Yeah.
Cool. That's all I wanted to know.
I'm just waiting for the next movie, though, for them to be like...
They'll do some explanation of how she survived of how she survived falling on a run. So her death is... I love this franchise. I'm realizing I love this fucking franchise. They've harpooned the side of a plane. These two cars have harpooned the side of a plane, and they're like, the plane is sort of taking off, and they're like halfway dangling up, and a guy is about to kill Han, like shoot Han, and Gal Gadot sacrifices herself to kill the guy who's going to kill Han, and then go splat on a runway. But we never see her dead body, so they might just come up with a reason of how she survived that somehow.
She's just immortal.
Yeah.
She's Gal Gadot.
Exactly.
You got to let her do what she got to do.
Thank you for letting me rant.
Wonder Woman crossover.
Thank you for letting me just like go on a tangent about how amazing this fucking franchise is.
You are welcome.
So, any other final thoughts?
When Barbie comes out, am I allowed to go on a rant about how amazing the Barbie franchise is?
Yes, you are.
Thank
Absolutely.
you so much.
Absolutely. You'll have to do it from Greece, but we'll do it when we get back.
I'm not recording a podcast in Italy.
We'll do it when we come back.
Thank you.
Any other final thoughts on Fast X?
I mean, I don't think so. It was just crazy. It was a crazy time. I had fun with it. I do love how they made sure to have like an actual real like car race in it. Like they brought back that one kind of sequence where you get how the movies used to be, where it's literally like a drag race. So that was cool. And I just love how hard the end goes, where they literally drive the car down the side of the fucking dam wall. They're just driving down the wall of the dam, just because that's just how it works. And, gravity and all that.
Gravity is different.
Yeah, like
over there.
Fucking perfect.
Yeah.
And
I'll let you know if I see anything like this in Rome.
Oh, yeah,
Sure,
we
it's a
need
daily
the
occurrence.
inside scoop.
I just loved it was also so funny because the crowd's just like running and dispersing was also just hilarious to me. It was just yeah. I gave this movie 5 stars.
I did see that. It's the single greatest letterbox review I think I've ever seen of your just you just having a religious experience.
Religiously going to hell.
All right, Taylor, what's your final score?
I gave it 4 stars.
What's your true final score, Alayna?
I think I would have to give this half a star, and I don't do half stars. No, it would probably just 1 star because, like, I'll add half a star for my mama. Fuck me.
The text message exchange, Alayna, last night was.
I felt bad for the people behind me in the cinema, but I was also like, "This is Fast Sex. None of you actually care about cinema. I'm just gonna go on my phone." And yeah, you just kept asking how I was going. I said I have nothing. Rooting for Momoa. Are you ever going to forgive me for this? No. It was, yes.
It's an experience.
I was crying.
I gave it 3 stars, so yeah. All right. Well, that was Fast X.
Yeah.
Are we going to still be doing this when Fast X Part 2 comes around?
In 2 years, maybe.
I won't be on that episode. This is it. I
You
can't.
never
You get one.
You get one.
You don't want to hear how it ends? No. What I do love... Oh, actually, that's the other thing I love about this. Okay. I'm really glad that they realized, and I'm really actually terrified as well if they do decide to do... If they're going to do this as a trilogy and they shoot both back-to-back. There have been 3 times in history that they have tried to do a back-to-back. The first was... twice. They've tried to do it twice. The first one was 4 was being shot. 6 was going to get shot, and then straight away they were shooting 7. and 7 was going to come out in 2014 instead of 2015. Halfway through 7, Paul Walker dies. The next time that they were going to do a back-to-back was Hobbs and Shaw was going to be 2019. Fast 9 was going to be 2020. Then COVID hit. And we've had a 2-year break every single time between movies.
The Fast movies are the reason for worldwide tragedy.
Yes,
basically.
I am willing to say I am terrified that if they decide to make Fast X Part 2 and
knows what will
3
happen.
back, I'm terrified if they make those back to back and release them within a year of each other. The world isn't prepared. They need the 2-year gap.
Sure.
Next week. Australia finally gets Renfield.
I can't fucking wait. I'm so excited. I'm still so mad. I'm so mad it took us so long to get this damn movie.
We actually get Renfield. So we'll be talking about that next week. And then we also have a journey under the sea.
The sea.
In Little Mermaid. Yeah, the excitement is palpable.
This is going to be my Fast X.
You're also going to come on here and be the only one who likes it, probably.
Probably not.
No, probably not.
No.
I bet I'll love it.
Not.
Yeah, you probably will, actually. I think I'll hate it. I hope I don't. I'm hoping I like it.
I'm like the one person that tends to like Disney at live action remakes. Not for the sentiment of it, but just I usually watch it and I'm like, you know what? It's good.
Well, Taylor, where can they find you online?
Pretty much everywhere at Finally Tailored, Letterboxd, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, just all the stuff. The most recent episode of the Let's Make It a Double feature that was released was with Jacob, actually, where he talked about Inside, Bo Burnham's Inside, and Tick Tick Boom. So everyone go check that out. It was a fun episode. If you haven't checked out the previous episodes, go have a look at those. Going to be another episode releasing in about a week or so that I'm really excited to tell everybody about. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've got going on.
Alayna?
You can find me at Laney Film on Twitter and TikTok, and at Alayna Violet on Letterboxd. And you can find all of us at Lights on the Screen basically everywhere.
And you can find me at Jacob London on Twitter and Letterboxd. And we will see you next week. Thank you very much for joining.